On this episode of Your TV's From the Archives, host Ken Armstrong spoke with former Riverview Park and Zoo zookeepers Doran Deck and Dr. Mike Cranfield. They shared their stories from the zoo, but we also captured something very special in the interview. The lifelong friendship and deep respect the two men shared for one another was undeniable.
Let's go to my two visitors. One, of course, is Dr. Mike Cranfield, who is presently at the Baltimore Zoo.
Yes.
And Doran Deck, who was the senior zookeeper here for many, many years. And these two work together. And as I said to them, there's no point in me even sitting here because the two will reminisce, and that's what we want to hear about. And the first thing I want to ask you, Doran, is the fact that when I used to bring my kids over here, the first thing that we did all the time was visit the bear. And it was down by the monkey house.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where'd the bear go?
I think he was relocated to a more suitable enclosure, because the first time I had anything to do with the animals at the zoo was go help get the black bear back in. It was loose again.
Now listen, how did you get it back in?
Well, we just shoot it along until we got it back in the cage, and of course give them some treats like apples and that.
They'll do anything for treats.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, there are lots of stories too about, and by the way, when you were at Thomas A. Stewart, you used to volunteer here. I presume that's how you got started, was it?
Well, actually, no. I got into vet school in 1971, and my brother had a friend that worked for the Utilities Commission, and he had graduated, so he was leaving, and so we knew there was an opening, and I applied for the opening. And I was cutting grass, and then they learned that I was going to go through vet school, and so they said, well, why don't you work in the zoo part? And it was just awesome. In actual fact, I was going to go through to be a large animal practitioner. In fact, I did that for 2 years. But after working at the zoo, it seemed a lot more interesting to work with exotics and wildlife.
There is a story that Doran was telling me about you rolling around with a snake. Can you remember that?
The story of that snake and Mike was that we were working on a snake and we had to bathe it because it had mites and that. And he was showing me how to bath the snake, and he says, oh darn, he says, I forgot that little spray can of STP. Would you run up to my car and get it? So away I go, and Mike still got the snake when I left. And then when I get back, I couldn't find the STP anyway, so I couldn't find Mike either. But I looked on the floor, and there he was rolling around the floor with the snake so it wouldn't entangle him. And I guess with the cool cement that he was rolling on, kept it kind of chilled at the time.
Yeah, actually, they say that you're supposed to have one person per 4 feet of a snake, right? And I think we broke that rule that day.
Oh, many, many times, yeah.
Was that in the old pump house?
The old pump house, yeah.
The old pump house. Now that building goes back a long way, and that became, was that the house of the alligators in the beginning?
Yes, I believe it was, and we refurbished it and made it into another alligator's tank and that later on.
Well, it's gone through a number of transformations,
yeah,
hasn't it?
yeah.
So you've had snakes in there, you've had birds in there.
Right.
Monkeys, always
Monkeys.
knew it as
It was
the
the monkey house.
Yeah,
right,
monkey
yeah.
house.
Do the monkeys have their own place now?
Yes, they do. It's a beautiful new exhibit. Yeah.
Well, here's one Jezebel, the monkey hugger.
Oh, yeah. Well, she was 37 years old when I come to work here. She's an old world monkey with 4 fingers and a prehensile tail. And she was very lovable. Mm-hmm. She loved to hug you. But when you get a pair of armpits that haven't been washed and no deodorant on them for 37 years, they're pretty, smell pretty high. So, oh man, just gag a maggot. But you know, she was the only one that trusted me, I guess. She'd hug me and I could go into the pump room with all the pumps running and the water running and the valves being switched, and she'd hang on for dear life to me, but she's the only one that went in the pump room. So I felt good about that, but I never felt good about the smell.
She was an interesting monkey for me because she got pregnant, so that we took the baby by cesarean. It's the only primate that I ever did a cesarean on, and she did well
Really?
after. Yeah.
This place has really grown exponentially, hasn't it? I mean, it has grown north, and you've taken over the Winona Motel. And This is a splendid area. That parking lot at one time was a great big field. I remember bringing the Governor General's Horse Guards up here, and they trooped the color on that in that area. The vial of blood, Mike, I want to hear about that from the monkeys, the glove compartment.
You're going to have to help me here.
Okay. You and I had planned on doing something after hours up at the hospital here on some birds or something, and you said, I'll be down right after work. You were in Toronto at the time, in the Toronto Zoo. And I said, okay, I'll wait here, Mike. I won't drive home. I'll just wait here for you. So it comes 6 o'clock, and Mike's still no sign of Mike. And it got to about 8 o'clock, and you knew where I was waiting down the old orientation. And the phone finally rang, and it was you. And I said, I'll be down in about a few minutes. He says, give me a few minutes more here. He says, I'm gathering blood from an orangutan. And so finally, about 9 o'clock, you rolls in with the old Oldsmobile and opened the door for me to get in. I said, well, I can't get in. That glove compartment's in the way. Oh, I'll fix that, he said, and he just slammed up the glove compartment. And oh my God, he says, there's the blood from the orangutan all dripping down through on the floor mat. He said, I got to go through all that again tomorrow.
Well, the two of you have had a great friendship through the years.
Oh yeah. I hope it was a friendship. I hope Mike wasn't just putting up with me.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Well, Mike
not.
comes back quite often to help out here, don't you, Mike?
Yeah, I
Every
try to make
summer,
it once
do
a
you?
year. Yeah. I've made it once a year, except 1 year since I graduated, which was 1977. So, I think the zoo is truly amazing. It's a huge asset for this community. I mean, I've worked at a lot of zoos and done some wildlife projects, but this remains pretty much my favorite place. So.
It's a great entrance to the city, and Trent University just up the hill there, just over the hill there. Mighty Joe, who's got the story with Mighty Joe? That's that was thought to be a gorilla, was it?
No, we used to say that to him. He's going to grow up to be a gorilla, because he had all the same sense of the gorilla and the actions of it. But he was hand raised by my daughter Karen. When his mother gave birth to him, I guess she didn't want anything to do with him, so she threw him in the manure pile.
Yikes.
And we rescued him a couple times and found out that she wouldn't accept him at all, so my daughter Karen raised him at home. And he was quite a mastermind of, he loved the old dog they had, Sarah. He kind of took her on as a surrogate mother, I guess. And he'd ride her all around the lawn and in the house. And, yeah.
It's an amazing bond. It was a squirrel monkey, a small South American monkey, but it used to ride on the dog's neck all the time.
Really?
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, look in her ear and check her mouth. He'd put a little finger in her mouth, and she'd never bite him. She'd let him do it.
You know, from the notes I have, there are names attached to each of the animals.
Yeah.
Tell me about Davy the goat.
Oh, Davy the goat, he was quite an attraction at the barnyard because he's domestic. But people used to bring him up treats, and they'd roll up the tin foil or whatever they brought him up in and throw it in with him, and he'd go over and it'd smell like food, so he'd eat it. So he'd eat tin foil and a few pop cans, and he got quite a belly on him, so we took him home to the farm to slim him down. And yeah, he took to my other daughter pretty good, and she kind of raised him, or helped raise him. And he loved the horses. We had horses, and he'd get under the horse and walk. If it was raining, he'd know enough to walk under the horse because he'd keep dry.
Amazing,
Yeah.
Actually, I think one of your biggest feats was raising that little Joey. Joey's a baby wallaby.
Wallaby, yeah.
And they're extremely hard to raise, and you were very successful at that.
Yeah. Again, my daughter Karen, she loved animals, and I don't know where they get it all from.
Is this the wallaby that you're talking
Yes.
about, Josie the wallaby?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, you had a variety.
Oh. Yeah.
What about Taurus the bull?
Taurus the bull, oh, that's a story in itself. I get a call one night about midnight, and it's Wally, and he says, Doran, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to sleep. And he says, well, he says, get up and get going. He says, you got to go to Belleville. He says, we got a miniature bull down in Belleville, and it's on the 4th floor. And they take it out for a walk every night about 8 or 9 o'clock, and they didn't get it out on time. So he says it was around 11 o'clock when they decided to take it for a walk. And he went on the elevator to take him down, and at that time, Taurus pooped down between the floor levels right onto the hot cylinder that run the elevator. Well, I guess the smell of that place was something else, because when I got there, there was police there, the fire department was there, and the small animal control. And when I went up to get Taurus, poor little guy was just trembling and shaking. So I went over to Taurus and petted him, and of course I always talked to the animals, and told him that it was going to be all right. I was going to get him out of there and get him into something that he would enjoy. So I took him down from the 4th floor and took him out to the truck, and I had a couple of bales of straw on to get him up in the truck. And as I got his front feet up, and then I went around the back, my dad's voice said to me, you never walk behind a bovine. He says, they'll kick the living daylights out of you. But anyway, I went down and picked up his hind feet, set him up in the truck, and he walked up. And then there was a safety grill there, and I was driving, so he would reach through the safety grill and lick me on the face and all the way home. So then we put him in the barnyard here, and he done very well. And then a few years later, I think 2 or 3 years later, we traded him for an emu. It was another zoo, and I took him up to the zoo, and the day I didn't have my lunch with me, so it was coming about 2 o'clock, and I was getting hungry, so I thought, well, I'll stop. So I ordered a hamburger and a drink, and as the girl put the hamburger on the counter, Taurus is in the back, and he goes, woo, right on cue. I'd never seen the like of it. And the poor girl, she pretty near died. She didn't know what to think of that. I said, are you sure that's cooked? And then I paid for it and left. But and then another couple of years later, I went up to the same zoo, and I said to the guy, I said, do you still have Taurus the bull? He said, oh yeah. He says, he's way over there at the fence. He says, give him a call and see if he recognizes you. So I called Taurus, and boy, he recognized my voice. Up goes his tail straight in the air, and he just made a beeline for me. So yeah, he had a good memory of my voice and that.
Mike, we've had camels on site for a number of years.
Yes.
And you have worked on them
several times,
to assist them. Yeah. Was that difficult? Are they a difficult animal to work with?
They can be. It's interesting. If they're trained well, then they're great. But if they're not handled, then they can be very, very difficult, and they're very stubborn. So unlike most animals, they can kick both with their front feet and their back feet, and they sort of can go out in a semicircle. So they're fairly dangerous. And I actually worked with some in Japan, and it was a law in Japan that you had to wear a hard hat because they can also bite, eh? And somebody had actually been killed by one from a bite, so you had to wear a hard hat. The ones here are pretty well trained, so they're pretty good.
When Your TV's From the Archives returns, more stories from the Riverview Park and Zoo. We now return to Your TV's From the Archives with Doran Deck and Dr. Mike Cranfield.
Now, who was Louis de Braza?
Well, he was a de Braza monkey, and they were...
Oh, that isn't his surname. That's a real monkey.
Yeah.
Name of a monkey?
De Braza.
Yeah.
I just... Somebody brought him in.
Mr. de Braza discovered him, but...
Somebody brought him in who couldn't afford to keep him because all Louis would eat was green grapes. And that became very expensive, so they brought him up to the zoo and left him with me, and I called him Louis and found out that he was quite controllable as long as you had green grapes. And Louis liked to go with me in the service truck around the zoo, and he pushed my hands off the wheel and he wanted to steer. So he became quite a pet to me. But Louis had a mind of his own, I'll tell you that. And he just went from one problem to another with monkeys down at the monkey house. Because we didn't have a mate for him, so he was a loner, a male. And
Actually, they got a couple females in the end, and he actually sired an offspring, which a Nebraska monkey is from Africa, and it's relatively rare. So it was one of the sort of accomplishments of the zoo. The zoo's done well with breeding, but that was one of the major ones. And it's probably because Doran looked after him so well.
You know, not only on the site do we have the animals that are featured, but we have a number of permanent displays that are worthwhile taking a look at, not the least of which is an F-86 Saberjet,
yeah,
which I think was decommissioned in about 1971 and arrived on the scene about decommissioned about 57 and come on the site about 71. I had visitors in town one weekend, and we were coming up Water Street, and the trees were not as spectacular as they are now. You could actually see as you come up 28, you could see the F-86. And this lady said to me, "Stop the car, stop the car." And I said, "What do you mean, stop the car?" She said, "We're on an airport road. There's an F-86 coming off the tarmac." But you do have a number. The miniature train has to be a spectacular attraction, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
And you make money on that.
Yeah.
It's interesting, the train originally was going to go through the animal enclosures, and I was totally against that, right? It was going to be too stressful for them. And so there was some debate in the city whether to have this train or not, and I kept writing letters to the editor. And finally, Alf Dawson came up to me and said, "Stop writing those letters." I didn't sign them, right, but he knew it was me just from the tone of it. But anyway, they decided to have the train outside. It's a really nice attraction, and the first day it opened, they actually tied me up and put me on the train because I vowed I would never ride on it.
Did they?
Yeah. So.
Well, actually, it's a lovely ride.
It
goes
is a
over
lovely
to the East Bank,
Yeah.
Yep.
where that log cabin is located. And I remember when that log cabin was located, Q Burton was involved on the staff.
Yeah.
And we had a celebration here, I think it was about 77.
Silver Jubilee.
Silver Jubilee. And Q bought a number of commemorative glasses.
Oh, yes.
And I think he bought too many, Doran.
I think he did, but I can remember downtown, he called me downtown, he says, "You've drove transport, haven't you?" I said, "Oh yeah," because he said, "I've ordered enough glasses," and he said, "I'm sending you this size of truck, do you think that'll hold it?" And I said, "Well, it'll hold it, but it'll be quite a high load." And so he called me over to the other before I left, and he says, "Now don't let our safety man drive the truck." He said, "You hide the keys, don't dare let him drive with that load on." He says, you can look after that. So that was my last instructions from him about the Silver Jubilee and the load of glasses I brought down.
Well, he had great ideas.
Yeah.
And many of them came to fruition, but some of them slipped off the table
Yeah.
on the way. I wanted to ask you about the skating rink, because when Mike was growing up here, I think, probably during your time, did we not have a skating rink out here on the...
Right where this
Adjacent.
building is, yeah.
Or had you gone by that time?
I think I'd gone.
You'd gone by that time. I was always sorry to see that go. What happened then?
Well, it became too much of a depending on the weather to get the ice to freeze, eh? And it was shortly after we got the cougars, we had them on zip lines going back and forth as a free run. And I remember one night Wally was out flooding the rink, and it was supposed to be cold that night, and one of the cougars come out and run up and down a few times, and his zip line let go or wore through. So next thing I know, Wally's standing there with the hosing the rink, and he looks behind him, and there's a cougar sitting beside him.
For heaven's sake.
Yeah. But I think it just depended too much on the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in many instances, I've had people refer to you as the Cougar Man. How'd you get that name?
Well,
From this girl.
yeah. That's my girl there, Sasha, and she had 3 or 4 of us could look after her, but once she jumped up on somebody, nobody wanted anything to do with her. She had claws, and like any cat, they like to need you, I guess that's what you call it, and with the front claws, and they didn't want anything to do with her, so she seemed to stick to me because I tolerated it, and I guess that's how I got the name.
Well, it's a prestigious name, Doran.
And you had a very close relationship with that.
Oh,
cat.
yeah.
I mean, you're the only one that could actually go in with it and sort of handle it.
I remember one day, Mike, that you had to, or I had asked you, there was a little tiny mark on her left back leg. And I said, I'd like to know what that is. Did she cut it, or was it a scab, or what? And you says, yeah, we'll put her down and have a look at it. And I said, no, I don't want to put her down, Mike. He said, well, how am I going to get in there to look at her leg? And so anyways, we decided that I'd go in with her and pet her and distract her and turn her around so that Mike could feel through the cage wiring at her leg and look at it. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
You weren't too happy with that?
It's my policy not to go in with large cats.
So we looked after it, and it was just a scab from a wire, probably.
Yeah. Mike, when you operated, and you've done that on many animals here, where would you do that? Do you have a facility on site here that you can?
Actually, they've got a beautiful facility right now. It's down right by the original administration house, and it's extremely well equipped, and it's a pleasure to work there. But previous to that, there was 2 other iterations of it, and so they've sort of kept up with the times, and as veterinary medicine and technology improves, they've improved the hospital here, and it really is quite nice. In fact, they just went through an accreditation, which means that there's an accrediting body for zoos in Canada, and it's quite an ordeal. I mean, it's really, really elaborate, and it's a big thing to go through it and be a member, accredited member, and they just went through it. So this place really has an excellent reputation.
So when you come up to visit, do you save these animals for him, or and build them up? They've got all these maladies, or how do you do that? He just walks in and said, "Look, I want you to take a look at this."
Well, looking at animals every day as you
Yeah.
feed them and clean them, you can pick up on certain things with the animals, and you just mark it down, and Mike's coming, so we'll have him look at it.
They used to call it the roundup.
Yeah, the
and
roundup.
we'd sort of basically go from one end of the zoo to the other end of the zoo in a week, my vacation time. But now, actually, Dr. John Solway is a local equine practitioner, and he's doing the work now, and he's doing a wonderful job. So it's not quite like it was in the old days, but
Yeah.
it's still fun to come up and help him with the animals.
Well, as a hometown boy, I mean, it's fun to have you back, and I'm certain that you enjoy it. Listen, guys, I remember when I first came to town, Highway 28 went right through the middle of the zoo here.
With
Yeah.
the fountain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the fountain, yeah. And at the other end, of course, was the Winona Motel,
Winona Motel.
which has since disappeared and has become a lovely piece of the property. I mean, this is an extremely attractive area, all the way up to the university, inclusive of the
Oh,
university.
yes.
Well, listen, it's good to have both of you on the scene, because obviously you're the best of friends, and you have developed a camaraderie over these years. What's your favorite memory of Dr. Mike Cranfield, Doran?
Well, I think him rolling around on the floor at the old monkey house with the snake was my favorite memory of that.
It's good to see him back, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's always good to see Mike.
Yeah. And Mike, you've seen a lot of kids go through this system. What do you think of it?
I sure have. You know, it's a wonderful job for summer students. But not just that, there's been a lot of veterinarians come down and come through here, and people have gone on to do wildlife conservation and work in other zoos. So it's got a great reputation. It's a wonderful spot. And I'd have to say that when a veterinarian goes in to work on a wild animal, he has to have people he really trusts, because not every time are they anesthetized, so they can be quite fractious. And Doran was always my right-hand man. He always saved me from a lot of trouble.
Thanks to Doran Deck and Dr. Mike Cranfield for helping us reminisce about these early years, about this most public attraction here in the Peterborough area, Riverview Park and Zoo.
Doran Deck passed away a few months after recording this interview. The Cougar Man is at eternal rest with his beloved Sasha. Dr. Cranfield sadly left us in August of 2023. Thanks for watching Your TV's From the Archives. We hope to see you next time.